Dave Wurzel, and you're watching PHTV4 Police Update. And today we've got with us Mike Yacht, Palos Heights' new police chief, recently promoted from deputy chief. Congratulations, Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Good to have you here. So that happened in mid-April, right?
Correct.
I know your swearing-in ceremony is coming up in early June.
Yes.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
Again, congratulations on that. Would like to get a chance to meet you in this role and talk about your role as a police chief. Maybe before we do that, can we talk about your background in law enforcement? How did you get started and how long have you been in it?
Yeah, for sure. I've been in law enforcement for 21 years. I've been in Palos Heights for 20. Kind of an interesting story. I kind of grew up in the area. My dad was a policeman for 50 years in Palos Heights. He was the chief for 20 years. So pretty much my entire life I've been
around it.
Been around law enforcement. Wasn't really my initial goal. I went to school. I have a finance degree. Was going to be a big businessman, do that type of stuff. Graduated college, went to work for a big bank downtown, and kind of just sat there for a few years doing my job and realized that this isn't what I want. Decided that if I didn't try law enforcement, I got to be about 25. Decided if I didn't try it, I would regret it. So I ended up going out, started testing. Got hired up in Evanston. So I started my career up in Evanston as a patrol officer, went through the Chicago Police Academy, and then tested that summer. Got the opportunity to come here pretty quickly within that first year. So and kind of the rest is history. So that's been, that was kind of my start into law enforcement. Coming here was truly a blessing for me. I knew a lot of the people here. I knew it was a great organization, a great town to be with. So it just kind of set me up. As soon as I got here, it was a different feel.
So even though you were in Evanston, you knew you wanted to get to the southwest suburbs? Is that?
Yeah, I was. At first, to be honest, I wasn't sure. I kind of was, I wasn't familiar with Evanston. I'm from the south side and stuff like that. So, it was all very new to me. So I kind of wasn't really sure, but it just kind of happened. The way that we hire in policing is you take tests and all this stuff. So the timing just kind of worked out for me, that the test was here and I did well on it, and just happened to get the chance to come here. So yeah, I think it's definitely, coming here was much more comfortable than I was up in Evanston. I didn't know the streets up there. I didn't know, we use the grid system a lot more down here and stuff. So it was just a little more familiar. So I think it was an easier transition from my previous life to policing.
Well,
to come here.
As you said, you're familiar with the environment more so here. And anyway, on behalf of Palos, I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, me too.
And maybe you've answered this, but I kind of would come back to it. I'm thinking it isn't interesting to find yourself at 25 doing a job that is not really the job that you want to do, making a career move. I mean, that can be tough. That can be a challenge. It sounds like, but I don't want to assume that. I mean, was your dad an inspiration? Was there an inspiration that kind of I want to go into law enforcement?
For sure. I think that's just something, I think across the board. I think that when you're talking about, you see a lot of law enforcement. I think it's a generational thing. You meet a lot of guys who, hey, my dad was this, my uncle was an officer, my mom was an officer. So I think that is kind of something that's pretty common in the industry. I guess kind of a funny story. I think it was just in me. But I always laugh because when I called my dad to tell him, hey, I think I'm going to try this, his first response was, go be a fireman.
Not the response you expected.
So he was also a fireman at one point.
Okay.
So that was kind of just one of those things. He was kind of laughing with me, and I think it was kind of a shock to him. After going through all the schooling and everything, I think he was kind of surprised.
Right. You went to college.
It was just you go to college, you have these dreams, these aspirations. You get in the real world, you realize, hey, maybe this isn't exactly what I thought it was, and it just got to be that point where it was just kind of I got to try this. I'll regret it if I don't try it.
Right. Well, good. I'm glad you're trying.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it sitting there
so far still trying.
Back into finance. How about this? So you've been in the job for, about almost a month and a half now, a little less than that. Do you have a typical day? I mean, and I'm thinking you were a deputy chief, so you're pretty close to the process already.
Yeah.
What does your day look like now, or how different is it from before?
It's a little different. It's not extremely different. I will say there's a lot more talking, a lot more conversations, a lot more
management.
Yes, exactly. A lot more planning, stuff like that. It's definitely more of an organizational thing. Whereas as a deputy chief, my role was more of an administrative side. So I did a lot of software. I did a lot of planning, building, stuff like that, policy, stuff like that. So it was kind of more in like, hey, long-term projects, stuff like that. This is more, so far has been more delegation and, hey, taking in the information, who's taking care of this, who's taking care of that.
On a daily, weekly, things are happening constantly. It's versus, probably has still some long-term aspects to it, but
for sure,
not as much as before.
Yeah.
And maybe that kind of leads to the next question. I don't know if you went into the job thinking this way, like goals, that you would either like to achieve or you'd like to see the department work on now that you're that person?
Yeah, I think, I think the beauty for us is this has been a strong organization for a long time. We've had great leadership for years and years and years, since I've been here, truly, and beyond that. Our people are outstanding. Our officers are outstanding. They're well trained. They take the job seriously. They do that. So in terms of goals, a lot of it for me is keeping that reputation, keeping the reputation we have in the community. I'd like to think we have a very good reputation in the industry. If you talk to departments around us, I think most of them think we do a good job as well. So my goal is to continue that. We've always been a place of innovation. The job changes a lot. We always talk maybe every 5 to 7 years, it's almost a completely different job. Right. Just the expectations from the community, the expectations based on law changes, what's going on in the world. Those things all affect us even on this small scale. So a lot of it's just keeping up with that innovation, keeping up with the trends. What do we want? What does the community want from us? So I think that's kind of where my focus is right now. And then it's always finding where does that make sense for us, because at some level it is always about budgets and
the needs of the community and what we can manage or finance or
correct.
I think you bring up a really good point. I mean, that would have, as an outsider living in the community, but my perspective is the Palos Heights Police Department is excellent, functioning at a super high level, and obviously there's some pressure there then, maintain that. For sure. But I loved, your response about, being on top of the changes and the innovations that come. That's where our department is. We're not trying to survive. We're not trying to catch up. We're trying to stay, we're at the front. Yes. We're trying to stay at the front.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's on our people. I mean, truly, we've got a lot of people who are seeking out those opportunities, seeking out those new things that maybe are like people are a little standoffish, and it's like, no, let's try this. Let's see what this does. I think we're very good at, everybody, we always laugh because nobody likes change, but we're actually pretty good at change. Yeah. There's reluctance, but over time you see people grabbing it and saying, hey, this works. This, let's keep moving this direction. And one of the things we preach is if it's not working, change, pivot. If it's kind of the old, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah. But it's also we're always looking to get better, and if what we've been doing can be improved on, then let's do that. Yeah. So that's kind of the mentality across. That's
got to be just a huge factor in the mindset towards being a high-functioning department.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready? These were all softball questions.
Yeah, those are easy. Easy. Okay, let's get serious.
Let's get to meet Chief Yacht here. Are you ready?
Ready. Let's go.
When you were little in grade school, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I think 100% a baseball player.
Baseball?
Baseball. Yeah. I was a baseball guy growing up. I couldn't, I slept with my glove under my pillow, all that stuff. I couldn't get enough baseball.
What position would it be?
If I had to, my favorite was always playing catcher.
Oh, wow.
I probably played first base more. I did some pitching. But I always loved catching. That was always my favorite.
How were you on the throw to second?
I was pretty good. I was pretty good. Yeah, it was really more my you might not guess, but I'm not real fast on the base paths.
Okay.
So
you were going to run it.
I wasn't running too many. Yeah. So but yeah, that was my thing growing up.
All right. Well, maybe that fantasy will be out there still
Yeah.
somehow, right? I know you mentioned you were coaching,
Yeah.
so maybe they get a little bit of it there. So I'm thinking, being an officer, there's a certain amount of pressure in that job, just kind of inherent in what the job is. When you go on vacation or you need to, like, decompress, how do you do that? Where do you go? How do you how do you recharge?
That's a good one. I'll be honest. I'm pretty chill guy. I don't really. I'm a guy who'll sit on a beach all day long. I'll sit by the pool. Yeah, give me just give me a book and a margarita or something, and I'm good to go. Yeah, that.
So it doesn't necessarily matter where.
No.
Water, sand, pool. It'll work.
Give me somewhere I can just relax and kind of chill out, and that's perfect for me.
Well, there's a lot of nice boxes there.
Yes.
How about you're invited to speak at a career day at a high school, right? What advice would you give students who are thinking about pursuing a career in law enforcement? Think about your dad who told you to go into the fire department.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it is something I would tell them, keep studying. There are so many facets that these guys have to know now. The job is so diverse and you have to know a little bit about everything. So I mean, learn as much as you can about as many things as you can. I mean, including just people. I think one of the things that gets lost on is you always think about, hey, I need to know law, I need to know tactics, I need to know this. But one of the things that I think is very important is knowing people. Having that emotional intelligence, having that empathy for people, and understanding that we have a tendency to, one of the things we always fight against is complacency. A lot of times we talk about it like on tactics for a traffic stop, like, hey, be careful, you do it so many times that,
right.
But that goes with dealing with people too, in that, we deal with certain things all the time, and you can't lose sight of the fact that, hey, it might be the fourth time you've dealt with it today, but to that person, it's a major event in their life. It may be just a harrowing experience. And so it's being aware of that too, that the people side of things is really an important part of this job.
Yeah.
And so that's something to kind of, like, for those young people coming up, it's stuff I don't think they really think about.
Right. I know that you're saying, I can imagine that they're thinking, I need to learn the laws, I need to learn the equipment and how to, the people part. I'm thinking about, like, your crisis intervention team. I mean, that probably didn't exist 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, it definitely, we always say, it's definitely something we've always done. It never really had a name. And we're just a lot better at it now.
Right.
So there's training now. Like, it's the stuff we do now. We know what we're doing. We don't. It was always kind of something. You would kind of do it. But now there's such a focus and there's such an emphasis on learning about it that we're just much better at it.
Yeah.
We have such a better in-depth knowledge of it that we can actually apply it much better now.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask this next question, which I don't know if you've had to do this or you're going to be doing it soon. We're going to go to the next step, okay? So now this is the person you've just hired. You've got a rookie officer on staff. What advice would you give them about that job? And maybe it's similar to what you just said, but this is a person who, they've made the step now. They're in the career. What would you tell them?
That would be where I would start. Be people first, and always stay up on the training. Don't be rigid. Don't be be willing to change. You see the guys who have been successful throughout their career. They've done different things. They've been in different roles. They've adapted. They've done that. Listen, it's one of those things. I've always told young guys, hey, when you see somebody doing something that you like, copy it. We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
I think back to, like, some of the officers I started with, and just great people who it's, hey, I like the way this guy handles a traffic stop, and you just copy that, emulate it, and do that stuff. A lot of that is the big thing. Stay up on the training, because that is a big thing. I know a lot of places don't get a chance to do as much training as we do, but it really does help progress along and get you in that mindset to stay current.
It's got to help you be more successful in handling situations that you encounter, especially to your point about, the person that you might be dealing with in a moment, that's their first time or whatever event they're dealing with. no matter how many times you've dealt with it in your day or career.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And you're always going to get, one of the other things is you gotta learn yourself too.
Right.
Because you are going to go out, you're going to get frustrated, you're going to.
There's always going to be a situation like, yeah, this
Yes.
is new.
Yep.
You know.
Something will trigger you
Yeah.
or whatever, and you got to be able to step back and make
Find
good
a way
decisions.
to manage it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to assume that you have your dream job now.
Yeah, I've been dreaming of this one for a while.
But final question for you: if it couldn't be the police chief of Palos Heights, what would the actual dream job be?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously probably too old for baseball player.
I was going to say,
so
I'm waiting for you to say catcher behind the
Yeah,
ball.
that would be great. But I've
Cubs,
always
Sox,
I'm a Sox guy. I'm a Sox
Okay.
guy for sure. But we were kind of talking before, and I said one of the things I've always kind of dreamed of doing is just being like the snorkel rental guy on the beach. Just go and hang out and enjoy some sunshine, and take it easy and let the breeze blow through my hair and all that good stuff.
I am a little distracted. I'm trying to picture Chief Yacht like in a flowery Hawaiian type
Yep,
shirt.
I could pull it off.
you would
Maybe
be
a
that
big
guy.
hat. I get the white nose get the sunscreen, and
You would be the guy
ready to
on the
go.
beach with your stand and getting the gear out. All right. So if we're like, where's Chief Yacht, or maybe this is retirement yacht. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Chief, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, absolutely.
Again, congratulations on the promotion. Good luck. I hope you have a long and successful, great career
Awesome.
here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Dave Worzel. You've been watching Police Update. We've been speaking with Police Chief Mike Yacht. Thank you for watching, and be safe.